The forest was vast, silent, and dark, stretching endlessly in all directions. Its towering trees blocked out the moonlight, creating an impenetrable canopy of leaves above. The air was thick with the scent of pine and damp earth. It was a place known to few, a place that locals spoke of in hushed tones, their faces growing serious whenever the subject arose. Despite the warnings, five friends, Daniel, Clara, Jake, Emily, and Sam, set out for the forest one crisp autumn evening, eager for adventure. The thrill of hiking in an unexplored, untouched wilderness called to them. They laughed and joked as they packed their gear, disregarding the ominous stories the locals had shared. "Don't go into that forest after dark," the old man at the inn had told them earlier that morning, his voice cracking with age. "There are things in there, things that don't like visitors." Sounds like a good place for a ghost story. Jake had laughed, brushing off the man's words. "We'll be fine. Don't worry." But the man's eyes had never left them, his gaze sharp and knowing. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the group set off, confident in their preparation and unbothered by the superstition that surrounded the area. They made their way into the dense underbrush, the thick trees forming a canopy that seemed to press in on them as they walked deeper into the heart of the forest. The path became narrow and uneven, the shadows long and shifting, but they pressed on, determined to make it to their campsite before nightfall. By the time they reached their destination, a small clearing beside a stream, the sun had almost disappeared entirely, and the sky had turned a dusky purple. They quickly set up their tents, starting a fire that flickered weakly in the growing darkness. "Can you believe we're actually here?" Clara said, her voice tinged with excitement as she sat cross-legged by the fire. "This is amazing." Emily glanced nervously at the trees surrounding them, their dark shapes looming in the night. "It's a little quiet, don't you think? I mean, it's like nothing's alive out here." "That's because it's too early for the animals," Sam replied with a grin. "It's a peaceful place. Just relax." But even as Sam spoke, the silence seemed oppressive. There were no birds chirping, no insects buzzing, and no distant sounds of animals rustling in the leaves. The forest felt wrong, as though it was holding its breath. The group tried to shake off their unease. They joked and laughed around the campfire, telling stories and roasting marshmallows, but the air around them seemed to grow heavier with every passing minute. As the clock struck midnight, the temperature dropped sharply, and a chilling breeze swept through the clearing. The fire flickered wildly, casting strange shadows that danced along the trees. "Let's take a walk," Daniel suggested, trying to lighten the mood. "Get our minds off the weirdness." "Yeah, good idea," Jake agreed. "We'll be fine. Just a quick stroll. Nothing to worry about." The five friends stood up and grabbed their flashlights, the beams of light cutting through the darkness as they stepped away from the campfire. The forest seemed even darker now, the trees closing in around them as the cold air whispered through the branches. They walked in silence, the only sound the crunch of leaves beneath their boots. The deeper they went, the less they could see ahead of them, the path narrowing as the trees grew more twisted and gnarled. The further they ventured, the more the sense of unease grew.